Vincent, your treat.
Time now for Niner Talk Central. Here's Dylan DeSimone and Turron Davenport.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome to Niner Talk Central, the inaugural launch of our podcast. Dylan DeSimone, Turron Davenport coming to you. Dylan, I'm excited about this. This is the start of something fabulous. Let's get it going. Turron Davenport, I write for Bay Area Sportsnet. Also, you can find me at 2010sports.com. Dylan, go ahead and let them know where you're coming from, and let's get into this show.
What's going on, everybody? Happy 4th of July. This is our inaugural podcast. You can find me, Dylan DeSimone, at Bleacher Report. I cover the 49ers, and that's what we're going to be doing here. Really excited to get started with Turron. Big show today. Got Vincent Frank, NFL columnist for Bleacher Report, coming on today. We also have Perrish Cox, cornerback of the San Francisco 49ers, joining us at 12:30. Very excited for today's show. Turron?
Man, let me tell you something. Vincent is coming in with some very interesting news, too. Definitely want to make sure we wish everybody a happy 4th. You know, it's a great country we live in, so definitely we have to celebrate that. And what better way to celebrate than doing our first show, man. I'm so pumped about this show, and it's going to be an awesome show. I definitely feel that all of our listeners will enjoy it, and stay tuned from week to week. We're going to bring you interviews with players and great reporters such as Vincent Frank. And, man, let's get it rocking, man. First topic.
So, yeah, you guys, we wanted to start talking about the defense. We feel the offense has been getting a lot of attention since Kaepernick's kind of coming to the lineup here. Team's more explosive. Defense kind of took a back seat, yet there's a lot of changes this offseason. San Francisco lost 2 starters in Deshaun Goldson and Isaac Sopoaga. One of the additions we kind of wanted to talk about here was the former LSU product Glenn Dorsey, who signed a contract with San Francisco this year, a short-term deal to kind of prove his worth. Turron, what did you think of him when he was in KC?
You know, we talked about this a lot, and as you mentioned, he was one of the top run-stuffing defensive ends / D tackles. So I definitely like what he's able to do as far as protecting the run. And that's something that, as we know, this 49er defense prides himself on. So he will fit right in. He's a nice big body at 6'1", right around 300 pounds. You know, a younger guy still at 27, got a 2-year deal. And it's definitely a prove-it deal. And I think that he's somebody that will come in and help this defense immensely.
You know, it's funny, San Francisco's, they're always trying to upgrade and everything like that. A lot of, coming out of KC, a lot of people wanted to call this kid a bust. A lot of people that didn't watch the tape on him. It was unfortunate. He kind of came out of that 2008 draft, and he was one of the highest regarded defensive linemen since Warren Sapp. There was big expectations for him, and yeah, a lot of people viewed him as a disappointment. Like, this wasn't going to be an upgrade. But, should people be thinking that this is actually an upgrade?
Well, Dylan, here's the thing. Because of fantasy football, and let's get this straight, I'm not a fan of that. A lot of people focus on stats, okay? But the numbers do tell a part of the story, but they never tell the full story, all right? So this is an example of a guy that is one of the better defenders against the run. He's one of the best at what he's called upon to do, but unfortunately, because we get so caught up in the stats, I mean, the guy, what is it? I think you said 4 career sacks in his career. So because he's not a high sack guy, people aren't going crazy about him, want to call him a bust. But the fact of the matter is he's a consistent player, and he's somebody that will always do what it is he's called upon to do. He's a run-stuffing defensive player, and he's one of the best at that.
And that's the word on him with, a lot of the NFL insiders, a lot of the stat keepers, is that he is a monster against the run, and he's been a silent killer since 2010, That's when they made the switch to the 3-4, which is what's relevant here. San Francisco runs that 3-4. He kicked outside to that end spot, and from 2010, 2011, and the 4 games he played in 2012, he was one of the top 3 run-stuffing ends in the National Football League behind Justin Smith, and that was it.
Yeah, Dylan, another thing you have to consider, you look at what the 49ers do. Yeah, we run a lot of 3-4, but they do a lot of hybrid too. They'll have 4 linemen in the game, in their dime pack, in the nickel package rather. So you need to have a guy. You look at RJF, Ricky Jean Francois. He left and went to the Colts, but he was a guy that played both the 0 and 3 tech. So that was something you lost. But you upgraded that in Glenn Dorsey because he could do just that, play the 0 and 3 tech. And he's done both successfully. So he brings that flexibility also, which will allow the 49ers to continue to be scheme flexible. So that's something else you got to consider when you're talking about this guy.
So you think he's going to get more time than Isaac did? He split a lot of his time with Ricky Jean.
Yeah, I think that he's primarily going to play 0 tech, the nose tackle position. He will at times have to bump outside and play defensive end. So we'll see how that chemistry, so to speak, how that formula is going to go. But remember, the 49ers defensive linemen, we're talking about guys when they had Ricky Jean Francois, these were guys that played a lot of snaps over 2 years. So having a rotation is going to be important. And as you know, Ian Williams is going to be called upon. He got a $1 million contract. So he's going to be called upon to come in and rotate. He's a guy that played really well at Notre Dame. So you mix in him. You mix in Tukuofu. He's another guy that it's going to be all about a rotation. So, and then having that rotation, what you need is guys that could play multiple positions. And also with being as scheme flexible as this team is, you need to have these type of guys. So Dorsey is somebody who's going to play both 0 and 3, like we mentioned, and he's going to be a part of a big time rotation for this team.
I can see that, but is he going to come in and is he going to just jump in rotation and is he going to be a rotational player, or is he going to stand out? I mean, can he be more than a serviceable defensive lineman, which is kind of what Isaac was? I mean, he looked good in that scheme. He looks really good in between Justin and Ray, but are we going to get more out of that? It goes back to that original potential. I'm not saying he's going to come up and he's going to be a top 5 pick. He's
Right.
not going to just suddenly explode. But I mean, we've seen free agents come over in San Francisco, defensive free agents that were high first-round picks and have had career resurgences. Whether it was Justin Smith, Carlos Rogers, Dante Whitner, all these guys kind of came over and played better football than they ever did. Like you said before, Glenn is 27 years old. He's kind of acclimated to the speed of the game. He's kind of built up that wear. He kind of, has been through the trial and error process. I want to know are we going to get more than what we're expecting?
I think we will get more just based off of being in a winning atmosphere. Guys talk about how once Harbaugh took over, they talk about how the whole aura and that the feeling of being in that building has changed. Harbaugh, as you know, every day he says, "Hey, look, you're either getting better or you're getting worse." I think Dorsey coming in and playing for a team that's a championship contender, I think that's going to bring the best out of him as a professional player, a professional athlete that strives to be at the top of his game. I think that we will get the best out of Glenn Dorsey here. Now, the coaching thing, I mean, listen, Tom Sula is one of the best defensive line coaches in the game for sure. But let's make no mistake, Tim Crumrod is also a good one. So he's still going to get very good coaching. But I just think that the ability that Fangio has to get guys in the right position and for him to be on a team with the players that he's on. We talked about it yesterday. When you look at the guys, that front 7 is the best front 7 in football. There's no conversation about that. It's clear. And now he's just adding to that. So you surround yourself with really good players and a really good scheme, and you're going to have success. So I feel he's going to be a really good player. He's definitely going to be part of a rotation, but he's going to be big time.
Yeah, well said. Well, yeah, we're gonna go to a break. We're gonna come back. We're gonna have Vincent Frank of Bleacher Report coming on with us. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Cigar fans, check out fifthdowncigar.com and enter the coupon code PFC to get 10% off your order. Lots of nice high-end cigars. That's fifthdowncigar.com. Enter the code PFC for 10% off your order.
All right, so we're back on. We got Vincent Frank from Bleacher Report on the show. I'm definitely delighted to have him as one of our first guests. And Vincent, why don't you tell us a little bit about some of your work on Bleacher Report?
Oh, dude, I work like 80 hours a week and get about 20 cents from the dollar,
Well, listen, you have an article out right now. There's actually two that I looked at I really liked. I liked your top 10 underrated rookie player contributions, and I noticed that your number 6 guy was Quentin Patton. So I definitely like the 49er shout out that you're giving on there. But more importantly, the article I really liked that you wrote was about which NFL defenses are best prepared or equipped to shut down mobile quarterbacks. And I want to kind of jump right into that because you picked out 2 teams that I think are definitely of interest to this show especially. And obviously the 49ers are one of the teams, but the other team is the Seahawks. And one thing that you did was you talked about KJ Wright and Bobby Wagner, and I want to applaud you for doing that because these are 2 linebackers that are very underrated, and it's a very underrated part of that Seattle Seahawks defense. So I definitely want to applaud you on that. And just if you could kind of expand upon what it is that took you to the Seahawks and the 49ers as 2 teams that you feel are equipped to shut down mobile QBs.
Unfortunately for the 49ers, the favorite player in the 2012 draft for me was Bobby Wagner from Utah State.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that guy was... I watched tape of him over and over again from scouting friends. That, not YouTube, you know what I mean? And I'm like, holy crap, that dude is ridiculous. He's a first-round pick. He's a top 10 pick. And unfortunately for 49er fans, he fell to the middle of the second round. And, man, you combine him with KJ White, right? And you're like, wow. The problem with Seattle is you can't get better than Patrick Willis and NaVar Bowman.
Amen to that one.
So, I talk to Seattle Seahawks fans all the time. I'm good with them, and they're like, yeah, and that kind of sucks for us. And that linebacker group for the 49ers, best I've seen in the history of the NFL since the Steel Curtain. Dead serious. And then you look at the Seahawks with Wright and Wagner, and you're like, holy crap. You kind of feel bad for the Rams. You kind of feel bad for the Cardinals. You're sitting there like, oh yeah, you want Sam Bradford to, right now, Sam Bradford is make or break, right? And you're this year and you're like, yeah, you're going against the 49ers and the Seahawks, 1/4 of your game.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
Good luck for you. That team, their Seahawks are good. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Dylan.
Oh, I was just going to say, on that article, you also listed you had a list of players that were, you had the scout team quarterbacks and people using scout team quarterbacks to try to defend against these mobile quarterbacks, which I thought was interesting. Do you think more teams are going to start purposely carrying, these little athletic guys behind center to kind of prepare for that?
I'd hope so. Because the read option, the pistol, that's not going away. It's not the Wildcat. It's not going away. And Seattle failed big time. They have Brady Quinn and Tavares Jackson as their backup quarterback. The 49ers have Daniels. And McCoy. And Colt McCoy ran that at Texas.
Mm-hmm.
For 2.5, 3 years. The 49ers got the plan. Scott Tolzien doesn't run it. He never did. And Scott Tolzien is not even going to be a part of that team come September 1st.
Do you think he's in jeopardy? Because it looks that way.
So really traded her for like a 4th-round pick.
Yeah, unfortunately, I agree with you. I really like Tolzien, his big arm and everything, but the problem is it's not a match. So you're 100% right with that.
Nah, Cole McCoy's a match. Cole McCoy's a match, and have Daniels as your 3rd string, scout team quarterback who you can run against when you go against the Seahawks.
Yeah, I can see that. And it's ironic that on your list you have Matt Scott on there. And, honestly, that was the guy I thought would end up being the number 3 quarterback, the quarterback that the 49ers would draft. I really, especially when he began to fall, all the hype that was surrounding him, and they were saying, okay, yeah, he's a guy that could go in the 3rd round. When he fell, I thought for sure that at some point the 49ers were going to pick him. So
it was
that's
all hype, dude.
Yeah. Hey, look, don't believe the hype. That's what Public Enemy tells us, right?
Yeah, I mean, no one talked about Daniels, but no one talked about Kaepernick.
Right. Oh, hey, look, man. Excellent point.
Right?
Excellent point. No one talked about him except for Greg Cosell. That was one of the only guys, and he said it. He said, listen, Kaepernick is very comparable to Cam Newton. And I remember people calling him crazy, and look, now he looks like Nostradamus. So definitely, that's an
and that was
point.
Greg Cosell, who everybody 86 in March because he's too old or too old school to understand what was happening. It's hard. It's hard for 49er fans to grasp the fact that they traded down for Navarro Bowman in the 2010 draft, and they used that pick to trade up for Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah. That's classic. That's classic Trent Baalke, man.
And in that 2010 draft, when they traded down from the spot that the Patriots took Aaron Hernandez from, by the way.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that because you have a little bit of news that you touched on a little bit, and I am definitely honored to be able to be a platform where you could go ahead and reveal some very interesting news that you've come across about the whole Hernandez situation. Another twist, and as we see every day, there's something else that comes out. So why don't you talk a little bit about some of the things that you found out recently about this whole Aaron Hernandez debacle?
Last night I worked until about 4 o'clock in the morning writing a Bleacher Report article. So it's my nights, editing articles, doing radio shows, writing Bleacher Report. And so I'm asleep, and about 6 o'clock in the morning, I get a text from Tequila Fight. And he's like, he kind of threatened my life when we were on the football field. And that's the former 49er linebacker, who is actually currently a free agent. And by the way, why the hell is Tequila Spikes a free agent? But that's beyond the point.
Yeah.
And why has no team ever picked him up? And the guy is awesome. But then I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, talk to the 49er players. I'm like, I can, but I'm not going to text him at 5 o'clock in the morning. He's like, just do it. And so I talked to a few ex and current 49er players who specifically said that there was a hit that took place during a Patriots 49er game last December. I'm pretty sure 49er fans remember that because Kaepernick threw 4 touchdowns and outplayed Tom Brady. But beyond the point, there was a hit that DeSimone Wilson put on Aaron Hernandez. And
yes, sir.
It was not a happy hit for Aaron Hernandez. And I'm going to get straight here. I did not talk to Aaron Hernandez. Obviously, he's in jail. And I didn't talk to DeSimone Wilson, who put the hit on. I talked to a few 49er players. Might be on the team, might not be on the team. I will not release the source. What I will release is, he said afterwards, I know where your family is, I know where you're leaving the parking lot, and I will tell you I have a gun.
Unbelievable. So there you have it. I mean, and it's funny, this tough talk came from a guy who a few plays later, they ran a tight end screen and he had the alligator arm. So, it just goes to show you how a pistol, a handgun can give somebody some false toughness, man. Unbelievable that type of talk has no business being on the football field whatsoever. And
threatening the family of a football player, no, doesn't.
Yeah, and I've played football, and there's been some times where some things were said that were just said in jest, empty comments. But here,
Of
looking at
course,
some
I
of the
played
things,
football.
yeah. But here's the thing that really makes things a lot different with this situation. This is coming from a guy who's connected to a lot of shootings, some murders. You know what I mean? So it can't be taken as some type of empty comment or anything like that. So, man, that's amazing. I appreciate you breaking that on a show. I mean, it's unbelievable how something like that could be said.
There's a current 49er safety that said after the game he was afraid to leave his locker room.
That's crazy.
It's the current 49er player. He told me off the record, I'm not going to name who he is. He's currently on the team. And he was like, I told my wife to stay in the stadium and we're going to get a taxi out of here.
And you know what?
He said he's the type of player that he doesn't do that. You know what I mean? It wasn't Dante Whitner, by the way, if that's what everybody's thinking.
Well, here's the thing. Everybody will hear that and say, oh, whoever this guy is a punk. And, I'm not going to say that. Because here's the thing. Obviously, from what this guy, Aaron Hernandez, is being tied to, you can't put anything past anybody. And it's a situation where, you know what, it's much better safe than sorry. So I can't knock him for what he did, taking the measures.
The 49er player?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
The 49er player has no right to be knocked or anything. He was trying to protect his family.
Exactly. And that's the bottom line. And that's the most important thing.
It is. And Aaron Hernandez is connected, allegedly, to 2 attempted murders in Florida in 2007, a double homicide last year in Boston, shot his friend's eye out last year. The guy is a serial killer.
Yeah.
If everything comes through, he's a serial killer.
Unbelievable.
And if anybody thinks that, well, I should have mind my P's and Q's so he could shoot me outside of Foxborough, the 49ers laid their smack down against the Patriots that game, by the way.
They sure did. I tell you, I was at that game, man. That whole stadium was silent. It was silent that first half, man. It was unbelievable. But then, as the game went on, it started to liven up as the guys, I think Hernandez had a touchdown, Woodhead had one, and the game got closer, and the stadium came back alive. But, my boy, young Michael Crabtree, had to shut all that up with that nice catch and run. So
set up Michael James.
If you watch that entire game, just every play, and I did after he called me, and that's what I've been doing for the last hour. If you watch every Hernandez play, he was threatening a 49er player after every play.
I'm gonna go back and watch it.
We're gonna check that out.
Yeah. So, well, Vince, hey man, we appreciate you coming aboard, man. We definitely want to have you on again sometime in the future. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on Bleacher Report and on Twitter? Because, fellas, this is a great author, a writer, and he has really good content. So definitely, if you like NFL, you need to check this guy's work out, Vincent Frank.
Yeah, Vincent Frank NFL on Twitter. Pretty easy. First, last name, hot dog. We're having the hot dog on 4th of July, by the way. And yeah, I know it's so bad, horrible last name, but that's what it is. And find me on Bleacher Report. Just check out the #1 rider for June. That's me.
There he is.
So find me there, and Dylan DeSimone and all you guys. You guys are awesome. Love you guys.
Football fans, looking to get healthy this year? Now is the time, and I have the perfect place for you. Save 10% at onit.com/football radio. Exclusive PFC radio listeners save 10% off their order. That's onit.com, ONNIT.com/football radio.
Okay, so we're back. Well, that was some interesting news from Vincent Frank, and I definitely appreciate him coming aboard. Getting back to the article that he had about the stopping the read option, one thing that he touched on was the Seahawks secondary. Now, we're going to flip it back over to the 49ers secondary. And earlier in the show, Dylan, you spoke about new starters on the defense. And One of my favorite players in the NFL, Deshaun Golston, has actually moved on, as we know, and went to the Bucks. And the 49ers traded up and got a guy I think that will bring a lot of the similar qualities to Golston and Eric Reed. So let's touch on him a little bit and talk about some of the things that he brings to the table while we wait for Perrish to come on.
I mean, first thing you think about Eric Reed is, man, San Fran really had it out for this kid. I mean, they wanted him bad. I mean, you trade up to the middle of a really deep class, to the middle of the first round. I mean, granted, Vaccaro was just taken off the board by New Orleans. But, I mean, they wanted him bad. They needed somebody that was going to be ready for week one because, yeah, like you said, Goldson's out. So, I'm kind of curious because he had a lot of knocks against him in terms of, as a lock for a first-round talent. Eric Branch had said scouts were all over the board on him, which is a red flag for a first-round prospect. I mean, what was out there. What were you hearing?
Well, I heard some of the things about him supposedly being very stiff, a lot of concerns about his 2012 season being different from 2011. Some of the guys I talked to, they said that they didn't like the fact that he didn't have higher interception numbers. But I think that he's a great fit. And you talk about this difference between the 2012 and 2011 season. And it's all about when the scheme matches the person. The team matches the person. Okay, so looking at Eric Reed being drafted by the 49ers, and then looking at his 2011 season, which was when he was considered the best safety prospect, one thing that's common, you have a abundance of playmakers, okay? Now, you look at the 49ers defense, we touched on the front seven, we touched on the two linebackers as well, and as part of that front seven. So looking at the secondary, I mean, there's players on the team. You got Los Rogers, you got Culliver, who's a guy I know that you like, Dylan. And yeah. I think Eric Reed will fit right in. Unfortunately, you have Dante Whitner, who's an experienced safety, a guy that he's not the best when it comes to covering, the coverage part of the game, but he definitely is experienced. And then they signed Craig Dahl to also be a mentor, to give him some competition initially in camp. We all know Eric Reed is going to win that job, but it's definitely set up for him to succeed. And I definitely like what he brings to the table. He's a rangy guy. That's one thing a lot of people said is he's very rangy. So that's a good feature.
He's got the long body, he's got the long body. He's got all the physical ability in the world. And that's what largely kept him in the first round. Is you looked at this kid and he looked like a prototypical NFL safety, and he's looked like that for years, going back to 2011. When he had his couple starts in 2010. But he's got to come in and win that, and he's got they brought in the mid to lower level kind of competition via free agency. They didn't draft any other defensive backs outside of him, apart from Marcus Cooper, who's not a contender for the starting free safety job. But he needs to win, or San Francisco is in trouble on the back end. I mean, that he counts for a quarter of their base secondary. Yeah. He that can't if he's not ready, what kind of problems are they going to have? And San Francisco's got Green Bay, Seattle, and Indianapolis. That's Russell Wilson, Andrew Luck, and Aaron Rodgers in the first 3 weeks of the season. I mean, he's going to get attacked.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get tested early. The Colts for sure will test him, and the Packers. Hey, look, man, Seattle will test them too. So it's definitely there as far as the opportunity to prove himself early. I happen to like Eric Reed as a prospect. This safety class, I fell for DJ Swearinger. That was a guy I really wanted the 49ers to take. I felt he was a really good player. I wanted to see them pair him back up with Culliver from college. And man, I talked to Swearinger a few times, and he wanted to come. This was one of the teams he wanted to play for, but nevertheless, Eric Reed. And it's funny because I asked him some of the guys that he felt were at the top of the safety class, and the first name he mentioned was Eric Reed. So Eric Reed definitely has the respect from his peers, at least one of them. And you definitely got to consider the way that he'll come up and lay the boom on guys, running crossing routes, etc. In the running game, he definitely is a guy that will lay the wood. So we definitely will not miss out as much with Deshaun Golson leaving from that aspect. But the thing that really above all else, Deshaun was the captain of that secondary. If you ask me, there was a point in time where he had the green dot on his helmet. He was the one making the calls for a brief period of time. And one of the things that Eric Wright has already said, Eric Wright, the corner for the Bucks, the team that Deshaun went to, he wrote an article recently on his website, and he spoke about how excuse me, Deshaun has come in and already been a leader on that secondary. So that leadership part of it is definitely that's a big loss. So is this going to be really necessary for Eric Reed to come in and Whitner's going to have to step up and be a leader, and Eric Reed is going to have to be a quick learner.
Whitner's captain from a vocal standpoint. He makes the calls. Deshaun was kind of the playmaker. I thought he let his play doing the talk, do a lot of the talking, but he had a lot of guys to learn from, Patrick Willis and Eric Reed. And like you stated earlier, and Justin Smith, and like you stated earlier, Eric Reed's going to have opportunity to play with a lot of talent, and he's going to get to learn from a lot of talent. But, he had that at LSU, and that's what I kind of respected about his college game, is he was able to be a top performer, become a first-round pick in the college's fastest, hardest-hitting defense, and we kind of want that. We kind of wanted that for him. We want that for him here. But yeah, he's got to step up and he's got to earn it, or San Francisco has concerns.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's the beauty of the NFL, man. The restock and reload part of it. So I definitely like what he brings to the table, and I can't wait to go out to training camp and see him firsthand. And man, when we watch him in the preseason, let's just hope for the best. And I definitely think that the team, the franchise, did the right thing in trading up to get their guy that they targeted. So it looks good. Definitely, future is bright for him. I love how he had his daughter on the stage. Man, I got three daughters, so that kind of touched me personally. So it was good to see, man, at the draft. But let's go ahead and go to a break, and we'll get ready to get our Perrish Cox back on. It's going to be an interesting conversation. All right, so we're back on. We got Perrish Cox of the 49ers, a guy that I've liked for a long time, man. I was definitely happy that the 49ers were able to bring him aboard. Perrish, how you doing, man?
I'm great. How about yourself?
Oh, man, I'm excellent, man. Enjoying this fourth. How about you?
Say again?
I said everything is excellent, man. We're enjoying this 4th of July, and I just said, how about you?
Oh, man, it's going good. It's going good. I'm on the way to going to get some food right now so we can barbecue up something today, but everything's going good.
Nice, man. How's Dylan DeSimone here? How's the off season going for you?
Oh, it's going great. Just working out every day, trying to get ready for training camp coming up, and, just kicking it with all my people while I'm here in Texas.
Nice, nice.
You're gearing up for your third NFL season here. Do you feel that that's been, you're in for something here? I mean, are you kind of ready to take another jump because you've shown progress each year?
Oh yeah, man. I'm always ready to take that extra step. Whatever I'm needed for, with the team and whatever I can do for it to help out. And hopefully we get a Super Bowl run. That's the main goal. But me personally, I just want to help out my team, and I just want to help out my teammates, and we can just go from there.
Yes, sir.
How's it been learning from the veterans here? You got Carlos coming in and Nnamdi. You kind of come into a team with a lot of leadership and playmakers. You kind of come in looking for a fresh start. I mean, how's it been for you here in San Francisco?
Actually, last year was really, just it was really just a start over for me for everything. Coming in last season, and just learning from those guys like Carlos Rogers and Terrell Brown and just the whole defense itself. Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman, all those guys. Those guys, are some leaders on the team that just helped me out personally with everything that I need help with. Learning, and then going there, this is my first time playing a nickel position, so it was last year was basically a learning experience for me. But now, that I got everything down, I know the whole defense. We'll see what happens from here on out.
It's interesting you mentioned playing the nickel position, because me personally, when I look at the roster and look at your ability, I think your value primarily is how well you're able to cover the slot receiver. And you mentioned how last year you came right back into it and it was a learning experience. And, man, what way to start the season other than having to cover Randall Cobb. I mean, that was your assignment a lot of times in that game. And I was at the game, and, man, you did a great job. I mean, he had 9 catches or whatnot, but it's really hard to cover a receiver that's coming out the backfield, let alone the slot.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to commend you on that. And then just looking at this season coming up, I mean, we got Tavon Austin twice. You meet up with Randall Cobb again. You got Percy Harvin twice. So you definitely will bring value to that. What is it that makes it so hard to cover these guys out of the slot position?
Well, first and foremost, I want to appreciate you guys, for giving me a call and everything. But in my opinion, personally, I think it's way more tougher than just playing the corner position. The corner, it's tough being out there on that island by yourself. But I mean, it's a lot of things you can take away from just the alignments of the receivers, from being, how far they are away from, the sideline and inside the numbers, outside the numbers, this and that. Well, covering the slot, you have a lot of the smaller, quicker receivers in there that have like a two-way go. And, especially like the Cobb that you talked about coming out the backfield, that's even tougher when you got somebody running at you. They got a 5-yard head start with a two-way go. And, you basically have like, the outside receivers clearing out the corners and everything. So, it is a tougher position. It's basically just the mind frame that you have to get down, and, you just have to take over. You just know what you can do, and, you just go from there.
I tell you what, your first preseason game was against the Broncos, your former team, and they got a pretty good slot guy. So that's going to be a nice little test for you as well. I think you and Los Rogers, you guys pretty much, in my opinion, are the only guys that could play that nickel position, cover the slot like that. So, man, your value to this team is definitely underrated, and it's not something that the common fan may be able to see.
And Turron, Turron, you bring up that Broncos game. You gotta throw out how he jumped in front of that ball for Eric Decker for that interception, man.
Yes sir.
Man. That game, man. It was really just a lot, that really came out, and just something that I had wanted to, go out and do for myself, and also, show everybody else, that I'm here. You know what I'm saying? And, it was a lot of stuff, I still care for the, for the players that's on the team and everything, we still talk here and there, but it was just a lot of things that I just wanted to go out and prove. I just came off an injury. I had missed the week before against Texas, and, I just had to get back that game because, it was just a lot of stuff that I just wanted to get off my chest again.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. That's definitely.
And San Francisco is a city, man. It's just got a big heart, man, and everybody's real happy to have you here. We know that you're a starting caliber cornerback. We got 5 starting caliber cornerbacks on this roster, from you to Nnamdi to Los to Brown to Culliver, and everybody's pulling for you. You belong here. So, I mean, we're excited to have you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Actually, taking everything in, everybody, for myself, I know that everybody really took me in, as family, and, how everybody viewed me, all the fans and everything. It's great fans out there. I love everybody out there. But, y'all ain't seen the best of it yet. Like I said, I'm in now. I know everything, so I'm just letting you know that it's on from around now.
Definitely. Well, we're looking forward to the upcoming season with you. Another thing a lot of people don't realize is your return ability. So that's yet another thing that you bring to the table. But real quick, I just, in parting, I want to just give you a chance. If you have anything that you do off the field as far as foundation work or any camps or anything like that, I definitely want you to talk about that if you have anything like that going. Because
personally, I don't actually, not as of right now. Like I said, I was just not getting back in it. So, my whole goal was just, to go out and, and try to show everybody, what I have and, what I can do on the field. But, I've been helping out with a couple of teammates. I just finished up with, kept Terrell Brown count, here in Dallas. Michael Crabtree, I tried to help out him, but he had the injury and everything. But right now I'm just helping out with a couple of teammates, with a couple of friends. It's also with other teams here in Texas. And I also do a lot of, I do a lot of bowling. So I do bowling events and everything out in the Bay. And I just try to help out in any way that I can. But I don't do nothing personally though. Not right now.
Gotcha. Well, that's cool, man. There's always a first time for everything. Definitely will be a good opportunity to get whatever type of cause that you would like to represent. And man, I definitely feel that this 49ers team is blessed to have you to be a part of the team, and you're definitely an asset. And hopefully this upcoming season you'll be able to reinforce what you bring to the table. And it was great having you on the show, man. And I'll be definitely watching, and we can't wait to see how this season turns out.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back for an update during the season.
Oh, anytime. Just give me, shoot me a text, or you just give me a heads up before, and I'll be available.
Awesome, Perrish. Have a great holiday, man.
All right. Thanks, Perrish. Have a good holiday, man. All right, so there you have it, Perrish Cox, man. Obviously, I'm a fan of his, and I was trying not to let it show too much, but that's a guy I definitely like since his OK State days. So it was definitely a pleasure having him on the show. And Dylan, he as I mentioned, he's a valuable asset to this team, whether it be covering the slot, whether it be the return game, a veteran. Yeah. I like what he brings to the table. And you made an excellent point. We have 5 starting caliber DBs on this roster, corners on this roster. So definitely like what he brings. We didn't even get into his ability with the coverage teams,
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, it was, you're right. I'm all about Perrish Cox. Everybody thought that they were going to draft, Jamar Taylor, or just somebody to kind of stick in the nickel over the slot receiver and just kind of upgrade that position. I think, we didn't really get to talk about with him and his relationship with Ed Donatel either, which I wanted to kind of get into, but he's here for a reason. I think they believe in his talent. From what I've seen, there's good reason to believe in his talent. He's one of the more athletic cornerbacks I've seen. I mean, it's in terms of what he can and can't do. There's not a lot he can't do. So I'm really looking forward to his development. This is his second year, consecutive season in the NFL. Like he said, when he told us he was just learning the system and everything. Watch for him this year. He's going to play faster, more physical football. Really excited for him.
Yeah, definitely pulling for him. So, and then you look at the value. I mean, his contract is not a huge contract for everything that he brings to the table. So I definitely will be pulling for him as well. And it's definitely good having him on the show. So just kind of wrapping things up here. You look at what we talked about today as far as the defense is concerned. This 49ers team is definitely built to defend the read option, if that should be something that they have to do. Seattle twice to present that hurdle. Go against the Redskins this year, man. We touched on that. So that's going to be interesting, seeing Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman run RG3 down. Josh Morgan with his comments saying that RG3 is faster than our guy Kaepernick.
Please.
We shall see, but
please.
Hey, man, that's going to be an awesome game. Yeah, I say please, too. Did you happen to catch the thing on ESPN yesterday where Chris Carter and what's the guy's name? They call him Stink, man. Schlereth. They did.
Mark
Schlereth, they did the comparison of the two quarterbacks.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
It was pretty cool, man. They looked at the arm strength, and
they did the checks. Yeah, they checked them off.
Yes.
Yeah, I did see that.
They gave Kaepernick the strength. The thing that really confused me, and not to get too far off of the defense, but like I told you, man, we start talking about Kaepernick. I could talk to 2014 about this guy, man. So, the thing that really confused me was how they actually selected RG3 as a quarterback they would take late in the game over Kaepernick. But last time I checked, late in the NFC Championship, he was a guy that brought him back from a 17-point deficit. Yeah. Last time I checked, the last football game that was played, they said the NFL was all about what have you done for me lately. Last time I checked, Kaepernick led a comeback that fell just short of winning the Super Bowl.
One of the greatest all-time comebacks you would have ever seen.
Exactly. So, hey, that's for a different show. We'll talk about that another time. But, getting back to the defense, it's going to be a really good year for this defense, man. You look at what Glenn Dorsey brings to the table. Can you believe we spent a show about defense and we did not say Aldon Smith's name once?
Not once. That's impressive. Not Aldon Smith, not really Justin Smith. I mean, yeah. It just goes to show you this talent.
Yeah, so deep. Man. Ahmad Brooks is another guy that could play.
Guys in the making: Perrish, Cox, Eric Reed, Glenn Dorsey. These are guys that are just kind of waiting to kind of come out of the woodworks, much like Navarro Bowman did when Takeo left. Much like Ahmad Brooks did when Manny Lawson left.
And Perrish is still there. He's still there and capable of playing.
Yeah.
This defense is so deep, man. This year is going to be a great year. Dylan, I can't wait to get back on next week. We'll talk a little bit about more about this team. Maybe we'll go offense. I don't know. We'll see what we talk about. But, man, it was great having this inaugural show with you. I think this is going to be an awesome year, man. Awesome year.
It's going to be a great year. Yeah, it's been awesome. It was a great first show. And, yeah, we'll probably get into the running backs next week.
Okay, yeah, we could do that. We could definitely get into the running backs. So, just in signing out, you can find me on Twitter at @TDavenport88. Dylan, shout your Twitter out, and I hope you have an excellent 4th, and everybody listening, have a safe and happy 4th of July. Appreciate the things that everybody has done for us to allow us to have the freedom to have shows such as this.
Yeah, I totally agree. Couldn't have said it better. You could find me at DeSimone80 on Twitter, and you can find my stuff on Bleacher Report on the 49ers page. Everybody have a great 4th of July. Hope you enjoyed the show.
This has been a presentation of the Pro Football Central Network. For news, blogs, highlights, and more, log on to ProFootballCentral.com.